So just as I was publishing this week's episode of the 5 Bytes podcast, I saw some very interesting news. It has been announced that Nutanix is acquiring Frame. I'm a really big fan of Frame. I blogged about them in the past on roryman.com. And I'm also a really big fan of Nutanix. I've had friends who have worked at Nutanix for several years. They produce a really great product. They enhance a lot of what I touch day to day in end user computing. Nutanix support the Citrix user group community. And also for those people using Nutanix with Citrix, there's those benefits that Nutanix can give for those MCS environments. So it was very interesting to me that Nutanix has acquired Frame, which is, in my opinion, a best-in-class desktop as a service offering. I don't think anybody does it any better when it comes to running your entire desktop session or your hosted applications through the browser. It's a really great, rich experience. If you've been to tech conferences over the last few years, you'll have likely seen Frame in the vendor hall, and they're usually there demoing, running something like AutoCAD within the browser. And it's not just this canned demo that is going to look polished and great. If you actually tried out Frame for yourself, you would see it really is very fluid and the performance is excellent. The end user experience is on point. So with Nutanix acquiring Frame and Nutanix already producing a great product themselves, and obviously having floated on the stock market, I believe almost 2 years ago now, Nutanix is likely quite cash rich, and this acquisition suggests that they're pretty ambitious in their goals. A lot of startups, it's very obvious from the offset that their entire goal is just to get acquired by a large organization, whereas Nutanix seem to be not content with just the hyperconverged HCI slice of the pie. They're obviously seeing, hey, we're providing value with our HCI to VDI projects. That's a piece of the market that we could also be getting for ourselves. I mean, we're already offering the hyper-converged solution. Why not offer something with immediate value to the majority of medium to large size organizations on top of our hyper-converged solution? It's really ambitious. It makes a lot of sense. I'm a huge fan of Frame, so I'm really psyched to hear this news. My current workplace does not use Nutanix right now, and this has bolstered me to bring it back to the discussion overall and try to drive this forward, because Frame is something that I would love to work with day to day. The end goal in end user computing for me is to provide a really good end user experience. This is just my opinion, but VDI is not the be all and end all. It does have certain use cases, certain workflows work really well with VDI. I think the majority of users, particularly task workers, can get by with published applications, which is why I'm such a fan of these workspace offerings from like VMware with Workspace ONE, Citrix with Workspaces, Software 2 Apps Anywhere portal. I think those kinds of products make a lot of sense for the majority of use cases. VDI makes sense for certain use cases. Citrix have their shared desktops. I think that makes a lot of sense for certain use cases too, where workflows call for that. But there's also use cases for a desktop as a service offering. Why go with VDI when you could just move directly to the cloud? I mean, there are some cost constraints with moving virtual desktop loads to the cloud, but from what I had seen with Frame, they were the vendor who was actually doing it best in terms of reducing that cost. They were building intelligence into their platform to power off the desktops after a certain idle time, power them back on when a user needs access again. I'm going to be really interested to see where things go from here. My colleague on the application virtualization and application layering What Matrix, Ruben, works for Frame, so I'm really happy for him. Like I've said, I've got multiple friends working for Nutanix. I'm really excited for them because at the end of the day, I think this shows a lot of ambition, and I know I would love to work for an ambitious company like that. So I want to keep this short and wrap it up. But just want to say congratulations to all at Frame and also to Nutanix.